So this is basically a journey about my journey into augmented reality. And to start with, I have a question for everyone. More of like just a thought which I want you to have. Like, did you ever wish that you could experience such cool stuff like what Iron Man, like that is Tony Stark and Jarvis experiences in this movie, like the Avengers, Iron Man? I'm sure you must have seen it. Uh, that is kind of like XR. Okay? That is what you say AR, right? Let me tell you, I'm not bluffing this. It's not a far-fetched dream anymore. Okay, it's just maybe a couple of years, 4 to 5 to 10 years, maybe this is gonna become a reality soon. Yeah, so that's me. I'm Hari Kumaran Babu, but I prefer to be called as HKB, uh, an engineer turned designer. And yeah, by the way, the engineer didn't come for free. I had to do a lot of work. With a lot of twists and tails throughout my journey, since the beginning till the stage right now I am at. So I did my engineering from NIT Trichy, National Institute of Technology, Tiruchirappalli, and chemical engineering. Okay, that's really different and vast. What do you say? Like totally contrasting. But it's because of this that I'm here right now, and this is the place where my interests and my origins started in design. So typically, I started with graphic design. So starting from there, I was very actively involved in many club activities and festivals, events where I was designing the publicity posters, and eventually by end of fourth year, I became the head for of Festumber, which is the college cultural event, and also started was part of the magazine which started in college called Feeds. So I did everything other than studying engineering basically over there. Okay. Just so so now I've passed out of college and I joined a company, it's Reliance Industries, where a core chemical engineering job. Yeah, and I was qualified chemical engineer. I don't know how I passed though. So, and this was the place where I exactly realized that that is not my career. Engineering is not my career, and it is not something which I want to do in my life. The decision to take, you know, to jump from engineering to design was a hard one, and especially when not many people supported you in your decision. It's more of like a leap of faith one has to take, right? So, and especially this was a very well paying job for me, and I had to go into the unknown. And likewise, I did not have any mentors or any guides as such, because I was just very new to design field as such, and I was just doing small things at that point. Yep, and I jumped. So I was in Gujarat that time, and I came down back to Chennai, and I started off as a freelance designer, like literally freelance. You know, people don't give money very easily. It's very hard to come by. And this was kind of like the place or the phase in my life where I learned how what it means to survive. So in this time, I was majorly working as a visual designer for a startup, and always taking up for individual freelance assignments, taking here and there from any person, no matter who comes and asks. I would get it and I would just do it for them. And how much ever money they could pay, I would just take it in, because for me it was all about getting that experience, or more of like exploring it. And so that's when a breakthrough happened just after a year. So I had given my NID exams during that phase, deciding like, okay, I need to shift to a more better aspect in design, which is basically UI UX interaction design. And at that time, when I entered into an interaction design, VR was so virtual reality, which is VR, was at its peak, and that was uh, trending a lot. And there was a lot of news about VR. and that kind of picked up my interest in AR, VR. It was something new, right? We have already seen by then. Okay, there was a lot of web, mobile applications which are coming in, but this was something totally new, and I was like, wow, so you can do something like that. So that's where my interest began over there. And likewise, since I had started freelancing already, I continued doing my freelance throughout, and I was supporting more startups as a consultant, where though none of them picked off. So, and also each of those startup failures was kind of a big learning for me as well. And yeah, I was specifically moving towards more into UI UX kind of freelancing than visuals, though I was doing both. So like again from here, what happened next was when after 3 years I joined an MNC company where I started off as an intern in Trimble, and over here lots of my learnings happened through practical experiences, through while working along with the people, collaborating with people over here. and and we were like, it was a very high dynamic experience, and high dynamic environment in the office, where we had multiple projects going on. And there we were involved. I was involved majorly working on web, mobile and tablet, it's the same almost, for different domains, different business domains. So it was like for architecture, for construction field, for transportation, for field service management, which is like, say, your urban company or urban club, kind of like that. And then also for oil and gas and mining. So all of these domains were very niche domains, very industrially oriented. But being a, I like technology, I like tech a lot. So I kind of adapted to it very fast. I was able to understand about what was happening and what was their requirement. And I sat down and I was part of their designing process, where I did a lot of interface designs and the UX designs as well for them. And yeah, so you see there, right? 20 plus softwares. I almost did 20 plus softwares in a span of 2 years. So that was the rate at which that environment was. It's very highly dynamic environment. So, but during this tenure, I also learned how AR works. So one of my primary goals when I joined this company as an intern was basically that they had projects on augmented reality or MR, which is mixed reality, and and where they had this HoloLens, which is the Microsoft HoloLens, which you see in the image over here. So I was very excited, and that was one of the few things why I actually wanted to intern and wanted to be over here. And so, in fact, during my intern process, which is when we do our graduation project as well, after completing, like in the process of completing NID, I worked on the Microsoft HoloLens like onboarding experience. So it's basically a device like a mobile. So how do you do for that? How do you do an onboarding experience for Microsoft HoloLens? And that was one of the key point from my graduation project. And lots of learnings about the device itself happened while I was doing. And to be frank, it just kind of released uh, 6 months before I joined this company, so it was very new. No one knew of how it works. And so I had to go and look into a lot of documentation, technical stuff. How does it work? And it's majorly a collaborative work. And I used to pursue the developers and ask them how the stuff works, and how do you do this, and read the documentations of Microsoft of what it's doing, and how do you use it, what are its constraints. So it's more about being very passionate about it. So so that was one of my reason, like, okay. And also, mind you, I was doing all of this outside my office timings. Like, I had to do a lot of projects on the side, and I had to do this one as well because I was very passionate about it. So eventually, within these 2 years, I started. There was a hackathon which was conducted by Trimble, which was sponsored by Trimble. It was a global hackathon, and I participated along with a team of other developers. And if you had seen the video previously, you would see a team, right? So those members, those guys were the ones who really helped me out a lot. And there are a couple of other people as well. who helped me clarify a lot of doubts, and as well, we came up with ideas on what we can do with this, what problems can be solved with this, and eventually we won the global hackathon as the we got the best hack award within the within Trimble throughout the world, across all countries. So that was a big win for us, and and also the next year, again there was a hackathon, and we got a special mention about the way we were trying to solve problems for using AI. So, and during this time, while in office as well, I got to work with an AR mobile AR project, which is live and which is already present. It's called Trimble Pulse, and I was majorly doing the UX, defining the complete user experience part of it, where how should one interact with it, and what are the things you need to have, and how do you lay out the design for the mobile, especially when you're doing for mobile AR. Mobile AR is basically your augmented reality on mobile. So these were the learnings which I got, and all of them were practical experiences live on, and it was a very, and like I said, it was a very dynamic environment. So you just kept learning over there. So I know like a couple of terms of these like AR, VR, MR, XR. Uh, I'm sure people would be confused, or they are very confusing. Like people use it in very interchangeable ways. So let me say it very clearly in terms of design perspective. What is augmented reality? So you basically design digital elements to appear over your real world views, sometimes with limited interactivity between them, commonly using your smartphones. So the biggest example is your Instagram filters, where whatever filters you see, it's basically AR. So all the filters right now in your Instagram is the basic for AR. Now, what about VR? VR, the design over here is basically you're immersed inside that experience, and you're isolated from the real world. Over there, you're just overlaid in AR. In VR, you're basically put inside the whole world, the virtual world. So your experience is completely controlled by the virtual world, and you're isolated from the real world. You do not know what's happening outside. You just know what's happening inside because you're completely closed. So yeah, like you can see over here in this video, you literally feel like you're just going across in the world, and that's how VR works. And it kind of uh, causes your brain to believe it's an illusion, that which makes your brain believe that you are experiencing it. And now mixed reality, which is basically a combination of AR and VR. So you see the one where you have the overlaid version on the real world, where you can see interactions and digital interactions coming up out onto the screen, and and then VR is completely immersed. And in completely immersed or isolated place, you can do anything, right? So what happens if you mix both of them? What happens if you combine both of them? Like if you can bring this whole thing into the real world, and that is what is mixed reality. So you design to combine AR and VR elements, so that digital objects can interact in the real world, the place where you are seeing as well, and where the live view which you're seeing. So that is what is called MR, mixed reality. Okay, I'll just let you see the video. So this is what happens. That's a view from the HoloLens. How does he see? So he gets to see this. He can increase, and he can view. So these are all digitally placed, what do you say, items which are present in the real world, though which can be only be seen when you're wearing that lens, HoloLens. So this is a sample for it. This is what you're designed for as well. So now there was another term which is called as XR. So what does that mean? So the devil is in the details. It's basically the complete set. It's like a collective term which you say AR, VR, MR, all of them you can call it together as XR. Now, why do I say that? Why can't we specifically call out AR, VR, MR? That's because it's basically an experience range of spectrum. It's like you cannot take out specifically like, okay, this is VR, this is AR, this is MR. It's basically a complete mix. It's a range of things. It can be here, there. It's like a slider which you cannot exactly say, okay, this is what is MR, or this is what AR is. So it's kind of a big range. So this complete range has different aspects to it. Like, uh, to shortly say it, it's like to collectively call this whole thing, we say it as XR, which is like extended reality. So what do I mean by this is, like, how do these experiences, how do you get to see these experiences? And for that, you have various devices around. Okay, you have so many headsets, so many you have mobile, you have a headset, you have a glass. So what does it mean? So why do we need to have that many? It's basically, these each experience requires different set of specifications. So, like, if you want to experience AR, or if you want to experience VR, or if you want to experience MR, it's completely altering your reality, right? Yeah, so to accommodate that, you need various devices. So let me go take you through some of the devices. Like, one is the AR, mobile AR, which is Google's AR Maps, which is currently launched in Japan. I think it's not available in India yet. Japan and US, I guess. So, like, literally, your maps can become like this soon. It will become soon, and it's already happening in Japan and US. So your mobile is your next big thing where AR is going to come in. And next is this Microsoft HoloLens, which is one of the first headset to have launched out. I think in 2013 or 14 it got launched, and yeah, and this its interaction set is totally different. So, like, for previously over here, you interact in your mobile, especially for experiencing AR. Over here, it's more of a mixed reality because it's computational. Like, say, it's like a computer attached glass, so that you have more functionality, more features into it. So its capability increases. And like that, you have Microsoft HoloLens 2, the second generation, the next newer version of HoloLens, where its capacity or capabilities are even more advanced than what you would see in Microsoft HoloLens 1. So each of them have different set of interactions present in it. And that is because as the device gets advanced, your interactions get advanced. Like, simple, say, for example, your iPhones and Android mobiles. What do you say for, like, say, initially in 2010, when you had the standard Nokia mobiles where you had to use buttons? That was one kind of an interaction. Now, as you go once your smartphones came, you touched, you tapped, then you had swipe, then you had gestures, you have Face ID. So as technological advancements happen, then these things happen. Yeah, I see a comment by someone called Geo Glass. Yes, Geo Glass for India. Yes, very much, but I don't know how far they have done it. So I can't comment much on it yet. So another one is Magic Leap. So the way it is done, so technologically, how they are doing this is also a different thing. So basically, it's like, how do they work? It's like keeping two projectors on your eyes and the glass, and they set that thing, and then it's actually your retina, that is your eye, becomes a screen where you actually see both the real world, you see your reality around, and you also see the objects, virtual objects in your eyes. So that's how the mixed reality is created. So each device has different specifications, and the way you interact changes accordingly. And yeah, right now you see VR. I hope everyone of you have at least experienced once VR when you go to the shopping malls or somewhere, or you go to arcade gaming, where you would have VR setups for gaming to experience VR. So you will understand how it is, like, when it's like you're completely isolated, it's like in a very dark room. You're put in a very dark room, and suddenly all sort of things happen. So that's the kind of experience VR gives. So yeah, there are many headsets right now. Facebook's Oculus is there. We are HTC Vive. So there are many headsets out right now. Now, each of these devices has its own set of interactions. Like, you see the controllers, right? You see in some of them you have the controllers in VR. You don't have the controllers for Hololens, okay? And you do not have, like, you don't have any controllers specifically for AR. But these are, what do you call them as, is basically mediums of interaction. Okay, the core. So these are all basically mediums of interaction. Now, with terms of design, coming from the perspective of design, the core concept of how AR or VR or MR functions is the same. The core concept is the same. It's just depends upon the capability of each device, how it can function. So my focus will be in this workshop. So the introducing design plus AR workshop will be on designing for that AR experience, or for all these three experiences, be it AR, VR, or MR, whatever it is, there is a core common thing which is present. And designing for that, and how do you design for that, is what we'll be covering majorly in our workshop. And there's a lot more depth. We will be covering it in a lot more depth. And what I've shown you is just the beginning of just like say 2% of what you're going to learn. And so what I'm going to do, how it is structured is basically you get to learn about AR first of all from a very design centric perspective, and you'll get to understand what does it take to design for AR, and what are the necessary skills required to design for AR, or what is the understanding you need to have in order to design for AR. And you will also get to learn and experience AR where you have a hands-on interactive learning activity where you will actually be able to see and visually understand and see how AR works. What are the rules which are governing it? What is the limitation? What you can do and what you cannot do? What are the important design points which we need to keep, which need to be kept in our mind? And thirdly, once you have a good idea about, like once everyone gets a good idea about what AR, how it functions, what's happening around in AR, the point of this workshop will be that every one of you will have unique set of ideas about what you want to do with this. This is something like a magic, right? Like you see in Harry Potter, or you see like Marvel movies. Everything you see, there's moving animations. So what if you can do it? What if you can build that? And be it in any domain of expertise you have, be it if you're an architect or a designer, or a developer, or say even if you're a finance guy, or if you're even if you're a a worker, any. So there'll be many ideas. Even if you're a marketing guy, whatever. So every place has its own ideas, and every person will have bring in unique ideas into the table. So my job, what I see over here, is to actualize these ideas on AR. Like whatever you see, there will be many fanatic ideas, like fantastical ideas which you'll be bringing in up. So how do we streamline them? How do we brainstorm on it? And how do we conceptualize those AR experiences of those ideas into AR experiences? So that is what we'll be doing. And finally, we'll create prototypes, conceptual prototypes, keeping in mind all the design pointers which we learn in day one. And finally, we will make a design pitch presentation on AR. So you will be able to talk about AR, and you will be able to understand, okay, this is what's happening. So that's the promise which I want to give. And so if you're still doubtful about what is the capability of AR, I'll ask you to go check out my Instagram profile. Under the effects tab, you will be able to experience this. So this is just the beginning of AR, and Facebook is one of the front runners for bringing AR into mobile, and Snapchat as well. So that's just the beginning of AR. And and just a video of how it functions. There's a small animation over there, which Instagram allows you to do, where you can create those effects. I think that's called a Spark AR, which is the software for it. And most importantly, absolutely no coding will be involved in this. So, and okay, the only drawback will be like you won't be able to do those animations as such, but you will be able to experience AR. So, and one more important point is like we'll be majorly focusing on mobile AR throughout the workshop, and it will be great if you have the latest Android mobile, or if it check out if your mobile is supporting AR. You can just Google and check out which mobile you have and see. It's not necessary that you should have a mobile, but it would be great because that is when you will actually experience what AR is, and at your own hands. So I know I kind of deviated a lot away from my journey, but uh, right now, what am I doing? Right, that's what you would want, right, to know. So right now, I'm working in Freshworks as a product designer and designing user experience for complex web cloud systems across SaaS. And the reason why I'm doing this is because AR will come soon, but it's not yet. It's like what do you say? There's a lot of infrastructure development which is happening, by the tech giants right now. Say like Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Google. Every one of them right now are focusing on bringing up AR, but it's not out yet. Just that everyone's waiting for 5G, because once 5G comes in, you will see a lot more of AR on your screens, and you will see the speed of internet is very important for it to work well as well. And apart from that, other than all these, other than my work outside my office hours, I just thought I'll go a bit private about onto my personal life as well. Personal, what do I do? So I love making digital art, and I often spend my spare time conceptualizing and visualizing for my next digital art. And that picture you see is done by me. I did this digital art, and again, yeah, it's on Insta. And yep. And the other thing I would say is that I'm a big time film enthusiast, filmmaking enthusiast, I should say. It's very fascinating because you're telling a story, and and if you ask me, the core concept for any designer is to tell a story, to tell his story out. So filmmaking is one of the mediums where you can actually tell a lot of stories. What interests me most is about the technical aspect of filmmaking, the making of it. So right from I've explored almost all these aspects: writing a story, script writing, acting, direction, cinematography, storyboarding, production, editing, VFX, poster designs. To be honest, I have been part of certain movies, short films. In fact, I was part of a team which there's a huge festival. I mean, there was a huge short film festival which happens here down south in Chennai, which gets telecasted in fact on in TVs, called Nalaya Ekunar, which is called as Futures Directors. And I was part of the team which won last year the award for being the best team. Uh, and yeah, I do a couple of web series as well. I do VFX as well. Very small work. It's just about the passion and interest onto how things works, and eventually all this is basically a collaboration of telling out a story, right? So similarly, it's all, even AR, VR, MR, everything is the same. You are gonna tell a story out. So now, would you like to see what I have done in AR? I'm sure if you have not seen this video, please see ahead. Go ahead, watch the video, and you'll know a lot more what I did exactly. I would have explained a lot about it. Right from my college days, I was very fascinated by AI. The problems it can solve, the experience it can provide, there's humongous potential in it. But I was still curious about it. So I started working around how to go about working on AR in the companies. And thankfully, I got into one of the top companies where I designed for AR. And that's when I realized the huge opportunity
Select the location text to proceed further. Choose the zonal area.
workshop for designing AR experiences, where you get to learn and understand the basics of AR, learn the key points for designing for AR, ideate and innovate on design problems, and finally create moments of power. This is Kevin and join me in the Yeah, so all these explorations of mine were very pivotal in my journey, and they actually helped me grow. Be it even the the off screen, there's a like out of office I was doing visual design, and then I was taking great initiatives in filmmaking. All these actually kind of helped me grow to where I am right now. And likewise, this workshop is also an exploration where I would like to evangelize, and I would like every one of you to learn about AR and experience what AR is and see how the future is together. So this is one of my favorite quote as well. Never stop exploring, never stop learning, never stop executing your plans and goals. For you can live, for you just live your life only once. Just live only once. So do the maximum what you can. That has been my motto always. And I'm sure you're still curious what we'll be doing in workshop. So kindly scan this QR code and see for yourself. And you should be able to view on scanning it and opening it. You should be able to view something called View in AR button. And once you click on that, you can just point it on your floor and tap on the floating image. It should come. If you're not able to view that button, that means your mobile doesn't support AR. I hope everyone have scanned it and tried it. I'll just keep on the screen for some time. And if you're able to do it, just like say why. Yes, you're able to open it up in the chat so that I know that okay, you're able to open it. That's good. Thanks, Nehal. I hope everyone else can open it up. If anyone is not able to open, just please let me know as well. So this is what you will be able to do by end of this workshop, where you will be ideating on a design problem. It's partly like design thinking workshop as well over here, where you will be ideating on a problem and you will identify a solution to it, and then you will be adding AR into it, and you will present this as a design pitch ultimately. So this is the whole goal for the workshop, and yeah, good to know that many people are able to open it. Then. That's good. So I guess all of you have recent mobiles, got a mobile within past 2 years, I guess 1 or 2 years. That's good. Yeah, I'll answer all your questions soon. I see a lot of questions keep coming in between.
Yeah, we can have the Q&A session soon. So I
Yeah.
think we can then, considering we're 60 people, so we can just move on. We can stop the screen share and look at each other and have a more interactive session.
Yeah. I have stopped screen share.
Okay. So I guess you guys can switch on your videos. So I have noted down. Hi everyone. Okay, one person. Hi.
But I'll just take on Srinivas Dotre's question. Yes, you can work on sounds, like clicking buttons and other interactions in AR. That is kind of a bit advanced though, where you will need a lot of programming into it. And honestly, all the work which you see is not done by me alone. It's done with the help of a lot of other developers who equally take credit. So, but it is possible. Yes, you can very much use sounds and sound, especially 3D surround, your Dolby sound effects, everything can be done in AR, especially in mixed reality mode. The more immersed it is, the more sound effects you can actually add.
Yeah. So I've noted down everyone's names. What I'll do is I'll ask you guys to unmute, and you can ask HKB yourself. I think that'll be more interesting. So the first person who had actually submitted the question as well as asked one question during the chat was Shyam. So Shyam, if you could just, I've asked you to unmute. You could ask your question.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hi, Shyam.
Hi. Like, does designer do the whole things alone, or does he need a tech guy with him?
No, see, I would say, in fact, designer is not a lone man warrior. He's a collaborator. So he has to work with all the developers, with other management people. It's a very collaborative work. So
Okay.
the important thing is designers have to understand this because they play a critical role in giving that experience out to the customers or the users. So that's one of the very critical role for a designer. So it's very important to collaborate, learn to collaborate with other people. You cannot be always best at all. Even though if you see myself named over the jack of all trades, it's just that I'm just pushing it together. But you need to work with the right people, right? With the tech guys, because each of them are experts in their own level. So you need multiple people to come in to make something, to create this moment of wow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so now there's a question by Arushi.
Okay.
So Arushi, you can ask your question.
Yes, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Hello, sir. Am I audible?
You don't need to say ma'am or
Please
sir.
call me HKB. Don't call me sir. I feel very old.
Okay. So basically, actually, I'm an architecture student, fifth year architecture student, and I'm always, so much interested in all these stuffs and this augmented reality thing. That's why I'm here. So basically, now I know that I am an architecture student. My architecture will be ending in next 6 months, and I am interested in augmented reality. But then I wanted to know the path which I have to follow for coming into that field. So like we do use 3D softwares and all, but I'm not actually relating like how will we use our skill sets like what we know right now in that field, and what part do I have to follow to get into that field?
So the first of all, in the field of augmented reality, like say XR, like I'll talk from XR point of view, like AR, VR, MR, it's all the same. I'll just talk it from XR. So I can say that then if I mention XR, it means AR, VR, MR. So from that point of view, what do you need to do? Firstly, I would say, what is your interest more towards? And my question to you is like, is your interest more towards doing the interactions part, or do you want to work on your architecture models to be on AR? So that's my question. I'm trying to understand that.
So I want something which is actually a mix of architecture as well as this augmented reality thing, wherein yes, we are quite good in making 3Ds, visualizing things, and somehow we can relate it to that field.
Yeah, sure. So to answer your question, Trimble is actually one of the front runners for actually enabling architects, especially, and in the construction industry, of whatever you have visualized or whatever created as a 3D model into real life. So they are already doing a lot of stuff on that. Even in fact, I was part of a couple of teams. I was part of SketchUp for a few times, where we had like for the Microsoft Build 2018, we had a demo booth where I was part of doing the storyboard. So there are many components within it. So if I'm telling from a very broad view, what you should do is basically try to understand which direction you want to go. Especially if you want to pursue completely into architecture, then please do go ahead and try to understand about AR, how it can help. There is definitely a lot of things you can do in AR. I'll ask you to check out Trimble Connect HoloLens. You can just Google it or YouTube it basically, because you'll see a lot of videos on it. Because there are actually, I think, since you're an architect, you know what MEPs are. So they have even for construction labors, how to how does it work? How does MR actually help in the industry, construction industry, or architects as such. So there's a lot of talk on that. So maybe you should check out on YouTube for Trimble, anything related to Trimble Connect, HoloLens, and Trimble Mixed Reality. So just check out these words in YouTube and Google. You'll get to know a lot more information. And
Okay, sir. Yeah.
decide on what you want to be. If you want to go in the design direction, then you have to do a design course, I would say. Be any design course, interaction or UI UX design course, or something where you understand completely the whole design process, and that will make you sure about, okay, what's the whole process. Ultimately, I would just like to say to every one of you, basically, the design process is what matters, not the end result, because the process is always the same. What you create is always going to be different, but the process remains the same. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question is by Shubham, but I think there's some audio issue, so I'll just read out the question.
Yeah.
So he's asking which tools or environment are available to work on AR VR by tech giants. So that's the question. So I think he wants to know more about the
So
tools.
I'll tell you, there are two tools currently. One is called Unity, and another is Unreal. So they are basically game engines. Okay. So uh, like if you say over the years, over a long period of years, if you notice how the trend or the pattern is generally the technical field, even say for design interactions and everything, the source of inspiration always starts from gaming. So the game industry is always the front runners for all these explorations, and they have the most powerful systems to build, to develop, and all these things. So how do they build AR? They use they use Unity, where and they use a lot of coding, and then they have this device set a huge set of sensors which are present within your mobile. And say for your mobile, you have a lot of sensors. You have a gyroscope, accelerometer. There are many things within your mobile. Likewise, you have a lot of sensors in your headset. Like in fact, in Microsoft HoloLens, you have 6 cameras present, and you have a power source for it. You have a hard disk for it, and you have all the elements of what you have in your mobile. Your mobile is actually a very, very powerful device which can track in a lot of elements. Even say your watch, which tracks your running. How does it track? It's basically a gyrometer. So what you have these sensors. What does the sensor do? If you try to just nudge it a bit more into the details, you'll get to know a lot of stuff how things works. So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Okay, so thank you for that. So one question that I keep seeing that is repeating is about, I think a lot of people find your design journey very interesting. So a lot of people, are maybe from an interior background, from UI, UX, from architecture, and they want to know sort of what nudged you to finally take the step, because you started off at engineering. So what was that constant motivation that made you think, okay, this is the part where I take a leap and change my profession, let's say?
I think it's very simple. Designers are creators. So I wanted to be a creator more than just be just any other normal guy going about doing his job, 9 to 5, chai pe lo, kar jalo, so jalo, no, nothing. So I think it was simple as that for me. And in order to go into that creative direction, especially when people around you don't understand, I think you need to have self-belief about yourself. What you are capable of. The belief in yourself is the most important thing for you, for any one of us to achieve anything. So if you believe in yourself, you can do it, then you can do it. You just need to strive for it, work hard for it. No matter what, you should be passionate about. That's what you call as passion. You cannot just call it, I'm calling it quits the next day. I mean, that doesn't work that way. If you are very sincere to what you want to do, you'll do it. And being a designer simply means being a creator. And creator doesn't mean you are at the top of it. It's like collaborating with many people. You work with many people. And working with many people, you get inspired by many ideas. You get inspirational ideas. You are not always a source for an idea. Okay, there are people who come and tell something random, and that can be a source for an idea. So my journey into AR is very progressive, I would say, because I did not know about AR. I did not know its existence until when I went into NID. And when I went there, I got to know, okay, there's something like this, and when I started thinking a lot about it, I was like, wow, so you can do so many things with this. And that's like literally you're interacting your digital world and your real world, you're interacting together. That's like Matrix, right? So, and when you can realize it, and you know, there is this thing, you want to be part of it. Right? You want to be a part of that place where you're also contributing towards it. So that was what motivated me to go into this direction. And just I'll just answer Sam's question because he's been repeatedly asking. You don't have to be very good in sketching or drawing. All you need is your ideas. Your ideas are bulletproof. I hope you have seen V for Vendetta, the movie. That's what I would say. Your ideas are the main thing. You can always do any other. You can always present your ideas in different. You don't have to be good in sketching or drawing for that. You can always show photographs. You can show videos. You can take references out from anywhere. You just need to have the idea. That's most important, and the process, design process as such.
Okay, so that's really interesting. So basically, believe in yourself, and I think where you're coming from doesn't matter because it is an upcoming field. So you can literally start from the beginning.
Just to add, just keep knowing how the world is going around. You know, people say, "Why do you see news?" I mean, yeah, right now there are a lot of crap news which keeps coming, but it's important to know how the world is going forward as well. It's because that will in a way let you know, like, okay, so this is how things are going around. It's very interesting, you know, to see like how the tech world is going. You see a lot of internet, like you see 5G, you see the internet. It's good to have these new features, but how is this feature going to impact? That is my thought process, which I always think of. You know, what impact does it have on people, especially if you're very empathetic. I'm a very empathetic person, so from viewing from that angle, I get a lot of thoughts like, okay, so this is how it's going to impact the people. Like when people have ideas about how climate change is going to, you know, impact the world, it's similar to that. How tech is going to impact the world. Every advancement is going to impact somewhere else.
Okay, so I think we are going to take two more questions before we sort of end the session. So I'll be asking questions to Ram Ratan and Harsh Soni. So Harsh, I have asked you to unmute. Could you just ask your question?
Yes, thank you so much, Hari. So I'm a UX designer who wants to work in the field of augmented reality, and one of the biggest challenges that I face while coming up with ideas is to test those ideas. First of all, there's a challenge that currently there are not a lot of resources or tools, called design tools that are available to do something like that. That's the first challenge. And then the second challenge is that a lot of these ideas are about speculative design, right? Like a future technology, right? Or, how would the world look like in immersive glasses, right? So we currently, I do not have anything to test that. For example, whenever we test any mobile prototype, we just test it in our mobile and look at the usability, right? Whether it's going to work or not. When it comes to immersive technologies, there's a lot of challenges when it comes to the constraints that one might have. Should it be a 3 DOF or a 6 DOF kind of an experience? And you want to test it constantly to know what is right. So how can a designer go about testing his ideas in the immersive world?
This is where we need to get creative. You know, if there are obstacles in your testing, then you need to bring up ideas first. So I'll say how we did it. When there is a shortage of device, I mean, before I answer it, have you tried on any of the devices which we had mentioned about? Like, have you tried viewing a VR, XR, I mean, a mixed reality headset like Microsoft HoloLens, or have you tried using those devices in person?
Yes. So as an independent designer, and my college currently does not have a facility like that. So one of the things that I did was that I bought the Google Cardboard and tried to emulate that kind of what does that experience look like. But then again, there's a challenge of it doesn't look that good as it would look in a Google Glass, right?
Yeah, obviously.
Those are the challenges. One of the things that I would like to mention, Hari, is that what I did was that I wanted to test whether this experience should be docked somewhere. For example, I have a screen when I'm reading something, and should it be docked somewhere or should it move along with me when I'm moving? So one of the interesting things we did was that I actually strapped a belt around my this thing, and I suspended a book in front of me. That how does it look like, right? To have a constantly have a book, something that is constantly in front of your face, how does that look like, right? And I found that it was not very it was not a very good experience to have an opaque book right in front of you whenever you're walking, right? So that is some of the things that I tried doing, but
That's really good.
again,
You know, that's
yeah,
really good of you to have that. See, that's what that is when you are, you know, out of ideas, you have to do something like this. So every design which you have in your thought, you will come across such obstacles. So, like, if you want to test out your ideas, firstly, don't try to go the development aspect of it, or try to bring it on mobile, or it's like just keep that aside. It's about your imagination. So you have your dreams and imagination which you can play out, right? So in terms of this, it's more about why do I say is like the acting part. You know, when I say about filmmaking, about mind, what comes to my mind is about how do you act. So with respect to this, in your prototyping, you can actually simulate the whole thing, and by enacting it, or by keeping like what you just did. You took a belt and you had a string attached to the book, and you try to showcase that whole thing. It's basically you're imagining that whole experience, right? So it's important to have that, and because that will validate in a way that, okay, do I need that text whenever I'm moving around to come along with me, or do I want it to just keep it stable over there? Now again, if I look one step deeper into it, what is the context over there? What is that text very important for me to keep following always, or is it okay if it stays at one place? So there'll be other questions. So once you start clearing the initial problem which you have, you will get another set of problems which comes along with it. So you have to, more of like, you need to dig deeper and deeper. So don't get worried about the weight, or the way it is
right,
projected. It's okay, because right now with the amount of things we have, we don't have much prototyping tools for it yet. So it's more about how do you say, how do you imagine it, how do you convey the story. So that's why it's very important to convey the story. You can do whatever process within yourself on how whatever ideas you have in your mind, but ultimately it's about how do other people perceive it. So
right.
it's on that aspect, right? So it's okay, what you're doing is really good.
Yes. That now that you've mentioned it, one of the things that really helps in these use cases is that talking to people. When you just tell them how that experience might look like, they really jump out, like they want to try this. Like, and they tell you
Yeah.
that, okay, this looks so exciting, and it's just the kind of you can understand from that how excited people would feel if you can deliver that kind of an experience, and it's a whole different dimension.
Yeah.
We're moving from 2D screens to a whole 3D world. So that is something which really, again and again pushes you towards doing these things.
It's amazing. At the same time, when you move to a 3D world, it brings in like 10 times more problems than what you would see. It's because
Yes,
so
exactly.
that there's a lot of problems you need to factor, especially from ergonomics factor, like from
Right.
physical surroundings, everything. So you need to, it's very enjoyable if you ask me. If you like this challenge, if you like this, if you want to do something, you have to get into it completely to understand it.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a good going, man. First of all, Harsh, keep doing more stuff of this. It's really good.
Thank you so much, Hari. Thank you for answering the questions.
Okay, so I think this is the last question now. So I had asked Ram Ratan to ask the next question. And before you ask, we can end the conversation, Hari, like there is things related to, what is the role of designer, small questions regarding the workshop about someone asked, will I be able to create Instagram-like filters by the end of it? Yes, no.
Can, but again, depends upon the purpose. So we can see it along. We can see along with the. So for me, just to be correct, uh, what is important is the purpose of your idea. Okay, in the workshop, once you have an idea, the idea will have you will have something in your idea, and does this tool actually solve the problem? Okay, using that tool will solve the problem or not. So I would say, depending upon that, we can. But yes, we can. That I would say we can do it.
Okay, so yeah, the next question and the last one, we'll answer this quickly.
Yeah, so can you hear me?
Yeah, hi Ram.
Yeah, so sir, my question is slightly different. Actually, it's a contradiction to the session. Like, don't you think that looking at all these advanced technologies from first principles, coding is the basic foundation, right? If you look at it from first principles. So don't you think without having that skill set, we as designers will only be able to do a limited amount of work in this field compared to the ones who have the skill set with coding?
So Ram,
I'll just tell you where this question comes from. So I am a first year interior architecture student, and I don't know why did I feel this during the lockdown, but I felt a super OCD to learn to code, and I'm the only one in the class doing it apart from my regular classes. I'm learning Python right now. So yeah, so where the reason I'm doing it is that I somewhere down the line I feel that all these advanced technologies are going to creep into all the different fields, including design, of course. So why not be a part of the core team, right? Instead of being dependent on everyone else.
so to answer your question, there's a lot of parts to it. Firstly, coding. What does coding do is basically to build it. Okay, in the industry right now, what do coders do? So they actually help build the product. They don't help in giving the experience. So they are the collaborators, but their major role. So everyone has a role in an office, okay, in a company, anywhere it is. You cannot do everything, right? So if your interest is to code, then please by all means learn to code. As a designer, I would say that it's important to understand code because it is important to understand the technique. But it is not necessary for you to learn coding because you are not going to execute the coding. Because there are people who are specialized who will do that. Okay, who will do the coding for you. So it's not like you should go and barge into their job and take it because you're losing a job. There's nothing like that. It's basically if you're learning, it's very good. You get to understand how the framework is. Like even if you're learning Python, what are the basic class and all these words which you have in it, right? So what are the functions? You call the functions, right? What are the
Yeah.
basic functions? If you understand that and what is the logic and the algorithms which are present inside, that's more than sufficient for any designer to understand whole of tech. That's in fact I also know I only know that much. Like I can read code, but if you ask me to write code, I like no I can't because personally I don't like doing it. That's one thing I don't like. I hate debugging, though I do know very bit of coding, but I'm like no I don't like doing it. So from your point of view, you shouldn't fear that coding is what is going to overtake. Coding is done by humans, and humans need experiences, and experiences are done by designers. So it's simple as that.
Yeah. Also, we just have 24 hours in a day. Like, we
Yeah.
will need to delegate our work.
Choose what you want to do. Okay, that's it. I would say choose what you want to do, work on it, and shine all the way around.
Yeah, sir, one more thing. This is a different question. Are there any courses currently anywhere in the world which combines um XR and industrial design, something of that sort,
No,
integration?
right now because the industry itself is just starting.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I started at a point where the industry was also starting. So I grew up along. I'm growing along with the industry itself. So there's no course as such. There's no solid course. Maybe from a design perspective, I think this is one of the kind of course which I am taking right now, where I've structured the complete course for it. So you're welcome to come and see from the design perspective of what is the basic need for this. How do you experience for this? Do the design experience for this?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. I think we've had really interesting questions and there are more questions that were mentioned. So what we'll do is we'll try to put it up on our Instagram stories after this session. If there's any, interesting question that we left unanswered. So before
You can
we,
connect with me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, and I can answer the queries if you want. Whenever I get time, I can answer them. Whatever queries you have.
So I guess HKB has already mentioned this, but I just want to again talk about the upcoming workshop, the immersive class that is going to be taken this 5th December. And it is going to be just 20 participants that we allow in one batch because it's a very sort of interactive class. It's not supposed to be, like a one-way lecture. So this is something I hope I can see you guys again during that session, 5th to 13th December. The registrations will be closing in the coming week. And you can check out 1is2x.com. So, where you registered for the InTalk session is where you can find the immersive class as well. So, during our immersive classes, we won't just be talking about the theoretical part of it. We'll be covering the aspects of the theory, yes. We'll be working in our close 20 group, and we'll be creating these immersive experience that HKB has been talking about. So, before we leave, I hope to see you and a quick poll just to sort of know how this session went for you. And if there's any feedback, we are happy to get any amount of feedback that you want to give. We're always trying to improve our sessions and our immersive workshops. So just quickly rate the session. Okay, 50% have voted. Okay, guys, quickly just finish the voting. 30 answers. Okay, so I'm ending the polling. So thank you for that. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of you again. And thank you for enjoying the session.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
That has been a wonderful feedback. And no, before that, so this is a mandatory Zoom group photo that we have to take before we end the session so that we know whom we're going to see again and remember each other's faces. So everyone just quickly turn on your video and let's thank HKB and give him a big thumbs up. So glad to see everyone's faces. Okay, I'm quickly taking a photo now. Okay, thank you.
Guys.
To see most of you again. And if you have any other questions, you can come up on 1is2x or in HKB's Instagram.